Good morning and welcome to Mini Storage Messenger's Self-Storage Webinar Series. I'm Poppy Behrens, publisher at Minico, and we are delighted to have you in the audience today. If you are joining us for the first time, this is one of several informative webinars planned for self-storage owners, operators, managers, investors, developers, and other industry professionals. Today's webinar is Mobile, Social, and Local Online Marketing, the rapidly approaching shift in online marketing, and it is sponsored by Storage Marketing Solutions. Our presenter is Derek Naylor, President of Storage Marketing Solutions, who over the past 7 years has incrementally increased sales revenues for his clients by more than $250 million through innovation and advanced marketing strategies. In 2003, Derek founded Storage Marketing Solutions and directed his talents and unique growth strategies exclusively to the self-storage industry. Storage Marketing Solutions now helps hundreds of operators from coast to coast to increase their occupancy and profits through the company's unique outsourced marketing director program and other tools. Derek is a regular contributor to industry magazines and a dynamic speaker at trade shows, and he also writes a regular column for us for Self Storage Now, as well as regular columns and features for Mini Storage Messenger. This year marks the 32nd anniversary of the Mini Storage Messenger, providing the self-storage industry with in-depth news and information. Each issue of Messenger offers cover stories and features on the most timely industry topics and trends. We also publish a variety of other self-storage data sources, such as those you see on your screen. For more information, you can visit ministoragemessenger.com. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We would like to invite you to submit questions throughout the webinar. To do so, simply type your question in the question area and click Send. Depending on the question, we will answer it either privately or to the entire group. We will also try to answer as many questions as we can during the Q&A period at the end of the webinar. Those that cannot be answered due to time constraints will be answered by Derek by way of email once the webinar has concluded. The webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing on demand from our archives at ministoragemessenger.com. Today's presentation should run about 45 minutes, with the remainder of the hour open to questions and answers. And now it is my distinct pleasure to turn the presentation over to Derek. Good morning, Derek.
Good morning. Thanks, Poppy. Looks like are we having some problems moving the slides forward?
I see that slide hasn't moved. Let me check with Keith and see if he can advance it for you.
Okay, no problem. I'd like to welcome everybody for joining today, and I guess congratulate you for getting on board and becoming, quote unquote, an early adopter for what's happening in the world of internet marketing. I sort of feel like we've been running a big race, and I'm sure you feel this way too, as self-storage owner-operators and managers. You've been running a big race to get caught up on internet marketing and websites. Back in 2003, when I got into the self-storage industry, websites and internet marketing were really not all that common. And a lot of people didn't think that it was necessary for the self-storage businesses because they viewed the internet as such a global tool where you can talk to people in India or in China or wherever. And obviously that's changed, and everybody is running to get online, get websites built that are integrated with their management software and so on and so forth. And not only that, but get ranked on the first pages of search engines like Google and Yahoo and Bing and so forth. Well, now that a lot of you have, and now that those who really have cared and have been paying attention and put the time and resources into that necessary, it's sort of like the game has changed. So it's sort of like you've run a race, you've prepared for the race, you've done a really good job, and you've won the race. But then all of a sudden you get to the finish line, you're exhausted, and you learn that there's a race that's getting ready to start all over again. And that's sort of the way that this goes. The world of internet marketing is always changing. In fact, I don't think it will ever remain stagnant. But it certainly is changing at a very rapid pace right now. There are people who have great rankings on the first page of Google today, and they may have poor rankings tomorrow, just depending on what techniques they use to do that and to get there. So what we want to do is what my goal is today is to really help you get caught up in a major shift that is happening right now. And as the name of the webinar suggests, mobile, social, and local online marketing, the rapidly approaching shift in online marketing. Really, there's a 1, 2, 3 punch that you have to be really good at in order to thrive in the future. One is you have to be good at mobile marketing. By mobile, I mean smartphones like iPhones, Blackberries, Droids, etc. I'm sure you've seen the explosive growth in those. I'm sure that many of you even registered for today's webinar on one of those, or read about the webinar on your iPhone or whatever phone you have. I'm sure many of you are well aware of the exploding growth in mobile phone usage. However, how we deal with that as self-storage operators is something that we need to be very aware of, because if people are using their cell phones to pretty much do everything under the sun, guess what they're doing? They're also using their cell phone to find local self-storage companies like you. So it's important that we talk about that. Social media has been one of those things that has been very questionable in the self-storage industry. In fact, a couple of years ago, I did a webinar on social media marketing for self-storage operators, and I highly discouraged self-storage operators from spending too much time and money on it. But the game has changed now, and I'll explain what's happened and why it's now more important than ever that you be part of social media and how you do that. And then, of course, local search marketing is the search marketing that you are currently accustomed to. That's what we've been doing over the past 5 years with pay-per-click and organic search and Google places such as the maps on the top of Google and Yahoo, et cetera. So all of this is going to mesh together, and those who get this right are going to win big time. And there is a huge risk of being left behind for those that just are not willing to adopt this. So again, I congratulate you for being on this webinar. It's one of those things that I think is overwhelming to people because they sort of feel like they've got this online marketing thing down. However, it's going to change, and it's changing quickly. So now, one thing I'll say about this is when I started to prepare for this, or when I finished preparing for this webinar, I had over 6 hours of content for you. This is a very vast and broad topic. It's not something that can really be completely and holistically discussed in the 45 minutes that we have today. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you a very high-level overview of what's happening and sort of explain, hopefully in an appropriate context, what's happening in the world of mobile marketing and social media and local search and how it all ties together so that you can go out and win this game and get more tenants than your competitors. But since I'm only able to touch the tip of the iceberg, we are going to be offering an extended session that will be complimentary, free of charge for those of you who are on this, that will go into the nitty-gritty. So if you like what you hear today, again, it's free of charge, but you want to learn more, you want to take advantage of this, then you're going to be getting an invitation shortly after this webinar to invite you to the extended session. You'll also notice that I'm taking a little bit of a different format on today's webinar. There's only 3 or 4 slides on this webinar. So I'm not going to kill you with death by PowerPoint where there's bullet point after bullet point after bullet point with statistic after statistic. I don't feel that that's really appropriate for this conversation today, A, and B, I want you to really listen to what it is that I'm saying, and then, of course, I'm willing to share the presentation notes with you as well that give you all of the specific data that I'm saying. So, okay, let's start with mobile marketing. Mobile marketing, or mobile, again, simply means mobile phone, smartphone marketing. People on the go who are using smartphones to do basically everything. Again, a couple real-world scenarios for you to think of. How many of you read about and or registered for this webinar on your iPhone or BlackBerry? I know that I personally read all the press releases about it on my iPhone, and I'm willing to bet that a good percentage of you that are on this today registered for the webinar on your smartphone. Another funny phenomenon that I've noticed lately is if you look around any restaurant, go out on a Friday or Saturday night if you're on a date with your significant other, and you look around any restaurant, it's amazing to notice how many couples that are supposed to be, looking each other in the eyes and talking to each other are sitting there on their phones, either texting or updating their Facebook profile or doing something like that, and they sit there in complete silence. Another funny statistic that I found is that 38% of people think it's okay to use a cell phone while using the restroom. I'm sure you've all experienced that before. You've been in the restroom and in the stall next to you or whatever, you hear a person talking and you're not quite sure if they're talking to you or talking on their mobile phone. But these things are everywhere. Those are some real-world scenarios. Now, getting practical, I'm sure that, and I don't want to go on, with statistic after statistics about how popular cell phones are. We all know that. But moving into the real world and how this affects us as self-storage operators, there's a couple of things that we need to consider. There's a lot of news and a lot of negativity around the fact that cell phones, particularly the iPhone and BlackBerry, are able to tell where you're at. And a lot of people get scared by that. Like, for example, if you take a picture with your iPhone and you upload it to your Facebook page, if you don't have your location services turned off on your camera, then somebody who knows what they're doing can tell, if you take a picture of your kid at your house, they can tell where your house is at. And there's this big thing about sexual predators being able to find your kid because you took a picture with your phone and the GPS coordinates are tagged on the picture. Okay, now I don't want to go down that road today. I'm not trying to scare you, but there's a positive side to your phone knowing where you're at as well, which is what I want to talk about today. GPS technology allows us to find products and services right where we're at. Because our phones know where we're at, we're able to find I do travel a lot for storage marketing solutions to various conventions and meetings and so forth. And if I'm looking for anything in particular, I just pick up my iPhone, simply type in what I'm looking for, and within seconds I have a list of all the local sushi restaurants, for example, if that's what I'm looking for. And I can find reviews on the sushi restaurants and make a decision on where to go, and then click on it and get driving directions and even call and make a reservation, all with the simple click of a button. So that GPS technology is allowing consumers to rely a lot more heavily on their mobile devices to find local products and services. So that's something to consider. Now, because of that fact that people are actually out driving around looking for a particular product or service, a mobile lead, meaning somebody, a mobile lead, in our case, it means somebody who is on their iPhone and they go out and they search for self-storage on their phone. A mobile lead is 3 times more likely to convert into a sale, in our case a rental, than a non-mobile lead. And the reason why is because they're actively out looking for it. They know that, okay, I've got like 15 extra minutes before I have to be somewhere. I'm going to find a self-storage unit. They punch it in, they find it, they pick up the phone and call, and then they're on their way over there. So these leads are not only coming in and growing in quantity, but they are also a lot more likely to convert into a rental because, again, their level of engagement and their level of activity is a lot higher. Another interesting thing is that Google has changed its results page layout. I'm sure many of you have noticed this. But Google, when you do a search for something on Google on your phone, they've changed the results page layout to be more mobile friendly because they know mobile is the future. In fact, if you listen to anything that the Google executives are saying or read any conference notes, you'll see that the executives at Google are basically saying mobile is everything. The entire world is going mobile. I heard somewhere that the iPhone today, back just even in the 1970s or 1960s, would have been a $100 million computer. So the growth of technology is growing at an exponential rate, which means that it's not growing at a flat. If you look at a chart, it's not growing at a straight curve. It starts out kind of slow, and then it basically goes straight up. So technology is growing at an extremely rapid rate, and needless to say, mobile is going to become everything. Within 2 years, because of that, within 2 years, it's estimated that mobile phones will become our primary way to access the internet. We're not going to be using, we'll certainly use our personal computers and our Macs or our office computers to access the web. However, it's not going to be our primary device. I was just talking to Poppy before the webinar, and I was telling her I can't remember the last time that I used my actual computer to access the internet to find something locally. It's all done on my iPhone just because believe it or not, it's actually quicker and easier than even my main computer. I just have to tap an icon and then type in a word, and because it knows right where I'm at, I can find everything that I want right around me. Last year, 58 million Americans accessed the Internet on their phones. That's up 56% from the previous year. There are QR codes. Now, if you're not familiar with what a QR code is, it stands for quick response. But if you flip through any magazine lately or any newspaper or been through the airport, there's these little barcode-looking things that are on advertisements throughout the ad. And all you have to do is basically take a scan of that with your phone, and depending on what the company has behind it and what their main strategy is, it will either save that company's contact information in your phone, it will save it into your phone and take you to their website, or it will give you access. A lot of consumer brands are, I know Bud Light, for example, uses it very effectively during the football season to give you access to a unique playbook for your favorite football team. If you scan a case of Bud Light, it'll give you that. So these QR codes are becoming more common and will soon allow consumers to know everything about you before even talking to you. In fact, Google is making a big push, and I'm sure many of you self-storage operators have seen something in the mail from Google, which is basically a barcode that they're encouraging you to put on the door of your facility. Now, what this is going to allow people to do is walk up to your facility, scan it with their phone, and before they ever talk to you in your store, they're going to be able to read user reviews. They're going to be able to visit your website. They're going to be able to see pictures of your facility and view your specials, and they're even going to be able to reserve a unit without ever talking to you as a manager, or if you're an owner, without ever talking to your manager. Now, this is something that's not going away. This is something that's going to become huge. Again, the mobile phone is going to become the primary way that we are accessing the web moving forward. And all of these things that I'm talking about, QR codes and so forth, are just going to make it that much easier. There's a big lawsuit going on right now, I believe, between Apple and Google. I'm not sure, I'm not 100%, but I believe it's between Apple and Google on a new pay with phone technology where instead of getting out a debit card or a credit card to pay for something, you'll just put your phone up to the machine, it will tap it, and it will just automatically do a bank draft or put it on your credit card or whatever source of payment you wish to choose. So these things, our cell phones are going to become everything. In other countries like Japan and so forth, they've just become huge. Now, what does this mean to you? First off, in the extended session that I'm offering that you'll get your invitation for, we'll go into a lot more detail. What this means to you is you must optimize your website for mobile web browsing. So what that means is you must either create an URL, so m.xyzstorage.com, or create a detection device in your website that allows your website to know whether or not the person is accessing your website from a computer or from a mobile device. So that's the first thing that you must do right away, because again, people are already accessing your website through their cell phones, and they're going to become intolerant if your website is not optimized for mobile. This is not something that's really expensive to do, but you must deal with somebody who knows what they're doing. And to do this, again, this makes it easier to browse on a cell phone. There's a lot less content on the page. Content is squeezed into the dimensions of a web screen and so forth. Second thing you must do is, besides just optimize your website for mobile browsing, is you must be optimized on web services to help consumers find local businesses, like Google Local, for example, which is what I mentioned with the barcodes. Yelp, Yahoo, Foursquare, et cetera, et cetera. There are literally hundreds of apps out there, maybe even thousands of apps out there that people use to find local products and services. I'm sure you've heard of Foursquare or maybe even Yelp, but those are a couple of big ones. But what you have to do is make sure that your website, your website and your facility is listed on those directories. So when somebody uses that app on their phone and they're looking for storage in your market and they're in your area, you pop up and they can not only pick up the phone and call you and see your address, but also read user reviews. So those are just a couple of things you must do right away to get in the game. Again, on the extended session where we go into more detail, we'll go into a lot more detail, but I wanted to give you 2 quick tips to walk away with today. So moving on to social, Now, social media is one of those things that we've talked a lot about in the past and has been talked a lot about in this industry. And as I said early on, a couple years ago, I was not a big fan of social media for self-storage operators. And the reason being was that, A, we have a lot of clients across the country that were using it and simply not seeing any results. And number two, there wasn't really a good reason to use it, and it took a lot of time. Well, things have changed with social media just over the past 6 months that completely changes my opinion. And now I believe that if you're not using social media and starting to build your brand on social media, then you're going to be dead in the water in a very short amount of time. Now, one thing I'm not going to talk about today is the technical side of social media. There's plenty of information out there. In fact, I did a webinar with Minico a year or so ago where we went into the technical side of social media, like what hashtags are, how to get followers, what the difference between followers and fans are, et cetera, et cetera. There's where we go into a lot of the technical details. I'm not going to go into that today, but what I want to talk about is the impact that social media is now having on how consumers are finding you on the internet for to decide whether or not to use you for storage or not. So, and again, that's what this all boils down to. The whole point of this webinar and mobile, talking about mobile devices and social media and local search marketing, the whole point is so that you are increasing your occupancy and increasing your income. If it's not doing those two things, then we're not interested in a storage marketing solution. It's got to be increasing your occupancy. It's got to be increasing your net operating income. And so the whole point of this is that when consumers are looking for storage, we want you to show up and get that rental. So again, to begin with the end in mind, that's what we're doing here. So diving back into social media, it's not what it used to be. Obviously, Facebook is still Facebook, LinkedIn is still LinkedIn, Twitter is still Twitter. However, they have now become a major part of how search engines are ranking their users. Now, I want you to follow me. I want you to follow me on something here, and I hope I don't lose you or bore you to death. But if you think about it for a minute, a search engine's -- job is to return a relevant search result. And that's why Google is Google today, because they got better at anybody at delivering relevant search results faster than anybody. And that's why they've gotten away with a very simple design. Obviously their page is very simple. There's not a lot of content or design on it. But what they knew they had to be good at is delivering you the results you wanted. And that the key word there is relevancy. For example, if somebody types in self-storage Chicago, Illinois, and all they get is, let's say, hairstylist or hair salons in Chicago, Illinois, well, they're not going to use that search engine for long because that search result is not relevant to their search that they put in. So again, what they want to do is return the most relevant search results possible. Well, the challenge over the years for the search engines has been that they're not, they can attempt to be in control by changing their algorithms on which websites they decide to put up first. However, there's, with businesses, standing to make a lot of money from being ranked first on the first page of the search engine, there's always been loopholes that businesses have found to go out and optimize a website, whether or not it's the most relevant search result or not. So what the search engines have done, they've leaned a lot more, they're now leaning a lot more on social media to help them decide what results are relevant to return to the customers. So for example, if you have a lot of user reviews on all these social sites like Living Social and Yelp and Google Local and so forth, and all of them are pointing back at your website, that Google now knows that consumers are validifying your web presence by not only saying something about you, but the frequency in which they say something about you. If you have a Twitter account, if people are retweeting it and it has your URL in it, all of these things are going into the algorithms now that the search engines are using. In fact, if you look at your search engine bar now with Google, a lot of times if you search for something, you'll notice below the search bar that you can choose to search not only Google, but you can search YouTube, you can search Yahoo, you can search a variety of other social type sites that are all integrated in with Google. Google now integrates, and they've been doing this ever since they acquired YouTube, but now more than ever, they are incorporating YouTube video results into their search results. So that's why a lot of times when you do a search, you'll find that 3 or 4 links down, there's a couple of videos that have to do with whatever you searched for. They're now using tweets, so things that people post on Twitter in search results. They're putting Facebook pages up as part of search results. So again, where before this wasn't really the case, they were all sort of independent, and I basically said don't waste your time on it. But now that, again, not with the spirit of having having your social media activity highly influence whether or not you're going to be on page 1 of the search engines, I'm saying that you need to be on these major websites. Another thing that's happened that I'm super excited about, for one, is that Bing and Facebook have teamed up, which I'm sure you've heard, and users can now receive search results based on the opinions of your friends in Facebook. And in my opinion, and they haven't been too quiet about this, they're unofficially trying to squash Google. Because Google is the big giant gorilla that they are, but Facebook is obviously huge with over 500 million users, and being run by Microsoft, they're trying to create a platform that will send people to their Facebook page to search for stuff rather than going to Google. And what this means, here's what this means to you. Number one is that you have to be involved on Facebook, because as this takes over and as people start getting on with it, or getting involved with this, they're going to be searching for things on Facebook. And if your business has a lot of people who like it, then those results will show up for them. So in other words, if you have a business page on Facebook and you have 50 fans, and one of those fans happens to be friends on Facebook with the person who's searching for storage in your market, well, you're going to show up extremely high because they're friends, because they're your friend and they like your business. Hopefully, I didn't lose you there. There's a little bit of a pattern to follow there. But essentially, what they've realized is that more than 90% of people seek advice from friends and family before purchasing things. And to take that into the digital world, in the old days, they used to call up and say, hey, I'm looking for storage. Do you know of anybody? Well, obviously, that still happens today. People are still calling and talking to each other belly to belly. However, what's happening now is with this new integration, they're able to determine what their friends like and what they are saying good things about through social media, and simply get an online referral, if you will, by doing this. So that's more important than ever. Google now places more weight on video, tweets, and user reviews than ever before. I talked about that. The big picture is to take the power away from businesses and put relevancy back in the hand of consumers. What that means is they don't want businesses to be able to buy their way or trick their way up to the top. They want consumers to tell them which businesses are valid, which businesses are real, and which businesses are providing a good service to their customers. I mentioned looking at the difference in the search bars. The major shift now is on how search engines are using social content for their optimization. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and user reviews are the big things that are being used now, and also LinkedIn. So what I want you to do and take away from this is, I don't want you to go out and spend all day on Facebook and Twitter. That's not what I'm saying. What I want you to do is to get going, and get going now. Again, this is one of those things that you will be left behind on, and there is a huge risk of falling behind and forever playing a game of catch-up if you do not listen to this and you do not start now. Don't wait for the timing to be perfect. Don't wait to know it all. If you don't have a Facebook page, go set one up. If you don't have a Twitter account, go set one up. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, go set one up. If you don't have a YouTube page, go set one up. If you're not currently soliciting user reviews, start doing that today. Don't wait, because I can promise you that the longer you're out there, the more you're going to be picked up and the more equity you're going to have with the search engine. And this is going to be something that will help you not only compete with the big players in town, but it will also help you compete with the smaller people. And again, not everyone is on this webinar, so you're sort of part of a secret club that is getting this information before other people. I can guarantee you that they're not paying attention to all of these changes. Most self-storage businesses are still excited that they now have a pay-per-click campaign set up, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. That's still very important. However, being able to tie mobile, social, and local together and understand this integration that's happening is going to put you heads and shoulders not only above the local competition, but above a lot of the national REITs as well. Now they're doing it, obviously. They're aware of this, but again, since you can move a lot faster, hopefully you'll be able to win this game. The second thing that I want, so not only get going, again, don't wait for it to be perfect, just get going and start building your brand on those sites, and then wait for our advanced session where we talk about specific steps of actions for you to take. But you want to start building fans and followers and equity. More than anything, you want to start building equity with the search engines, that you're out there, that you're a real business, that you are who you say you are. One of the things that I highly recommend you do is as you're setting up, well, the first thing I recommend you do is you only have one person or one company managing your local listing. So, from Google Local to your listing on Merchant Circle or City Search or Yelp, all of those websites need to be, your data needs to be consistent, meaning you need to have the same phone number, you need to make sure your address is correct. Just verify all this data. I understand that it might be overwhelming and it might take a lot of time. And if you don't have a lot of time or you don't want to do it, make sure you hire a firm to do it for you, because it's crucially important that this be done, because, again, everything is shifting in this direction. We want people to find you on their cell phones. We want people to find you through social media and have those results come up. So make sure that you start getting friends and followers now, that you make sure your data is consistent across all of these websites. And, again, you're going to be heads and shoulders above your competitors. Getting user reviews is super important. Make sure you set up a marketing campaign within your facility to solicit user reviews. We have clients that have hundreds of user reviews, and their closest competitor only has one or two, if any at all, because for our clients, we set up campaigns to help them get these user reviews. Now let's talk about local. Local search marketing is what's sort of been around for the past 5 years or so in our industry, maybe even longer. Local search marketing is simply the art of a search engine helping a consumer find a local product or service. And there's lots of ways that they do this. One is by allowing the consumer to search for a business and use keywords such as self-storage Chicago, Illinois, and Google will then turn back and give them self-storage facilities in Chicago, Illinois. There's also another feature that a lot of people are not aware of called geo-targeting, which, just like your cell phone, wherever you're plugged into the internet, the search engines know that. So for the most part, there are exceptions to this rule, but for the most part, they know if you're plugged in Chicago, Illinois, and you just type in self-storage unit, then they're going to know that, and they're going to serve up Chicago, Illinois self-storage facilities for you. So local storage or local search marketing is extremely, extremely important. And I sort of want to say be there or else. Be there or else you're in big trouble. You should not only have your local map listing claimed. It's called Google Places on Google, but Yahoo has their maps. MSN Bing has their maps. A lot of other sites have their maps. You need to claim them. Now, don't let the expense of it get in your way, because guess what? There is no expense. Claiming these local listings is absolutely free for you. It's not rocket science. Once you go in and start doing it, you'll be able to do it, get it verified, and get up and running quickly. Again, my only caution to you is that you only have one person managing this process for you, so that all the data is consistent. The second that you've got inconsistent data, out there on the web, then the second that Google and the other search engines start to be suspicious as to whether or not you're the real deal or not. Get pictures up. Google a lot of times in many markets will come in and take pictures of your business and even the inside of your facility for free. Again, Google, as part of their world dominance plan, wants to have this because local search marketing is the future, along with mobile, they want to have as much content as possible for their searchers. So if someone's searching for self-storage, or they scan that QR code that's on the door of your facility, they want to have as much information as possible. So Google will come and take pictures of the inside of your facility for free. Not in all cases, it just depends on where you're located. But in most cases, they'll come in and take pictures. That way when people do a search, they'll have pictures. Again, if you have reviews and you have pictures and you've claimed your listing and your data is consistent across the internet, guess who's going to be at the top of the local listings? You are, because your competitors are not doing this. And I can't put into words the importance of this. Not only in getting new customers and new tenants, but in the long-term game, within a couple of years, if you don't have all this squared away, you're going to be in big trouble, because this is only going to explode even more. So again, get pictures up. Double check your map. A lot of people have wrong map listings. That little push pin that's in the map, a lot of times that's not in the right place. And you can change that. If you can go into your account, you can change where that's at. Google has a free tool that allows you to punch in your address, move the little dot around, and it gives you the exact GPS coordinates, so that you can GPS coordinates so that that push pin is in the right place. Make sure your information is consistent across the web. I mentioned that. Pay-per-click. So we've talked about the local side of things, which is the map, which I'm sure all of you know what the map is. It's crucially important that you're there. Cool thing about it is it's free. Just make sure you've got user reviews being generated. Make sure you've got pictures up. Make sure that all of your information is consistent across the web. Pay-per-click. Pay-per-click is still really important. If you don't have a pay-per-click campaign up and running, then I highly encourage you to get that pay-per-click campaign up and running. Most of our clients across the board get a really great return on investment from their pay-per-click. It's not expensive, and if you use a marketing firm like us or any of the others that are in the industry, you're able to do it for extremely cheap and get a great return on your investment, and it doesn't take a lot of time. Organic search engine optimization. This is the stuff that you don't have to pay per click. So this is usually found. On the middle of the page, below the map listings, off to the left of the pay-per-click listings, and this is extremely valuable real estate to have online. How you get there is really, I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of ways to get there. Some are white hat, what we call white hat techniques, which are illegal and above table. Some are black hat techniques, which will get you there, but will usually end up getting you banned quicker, quicker than you think. The bottom line is you need to be up there on the organic side of things as well. So ideally, you got this really strong presence on mobile phones. So when people are searching for you on the mobile phones, whether it be through just their map feature on their phone, or they've got an app that they're using like Yelp or Foursquare to find local businesses, whatever it is, they find you there, that they're able to touch a button, and all of a sudden their phone is ringing and it's connecting to your facility. That if they want to view your website, they view it, and that the website is mobile friendly. They can make reservations online and so forth. That you're doing everything you can social media wise. Again, you don't have to spend a lot of time on social media to do it right. You can probably spend 15 to 30 minutes a day maximum on social media, maximum 15 to 30 minutes, and have everything you need out there in order to really dominate this. And talking about organic search engine marketing, this is really where the social impact is going to be bigger than ever, because Google is indexing tweets and other social media content, I guess for lack of a better term, that will help you organically as well. So again, they're putting the hands back in control of consumers, which is great for honest businesses. If you're a dishonest business and you want to cheat your way to the top, well, this isn't so great for you. But if you're an honest business just wanting to do the right thing and get there the right way, then this is excellent news for you, because again, it allows you to compete with the big boys. Budget is not necessarily the ¡1 criteria anymore. It hasn't been for quite some time. But if you find yourself saying, well, how can I compete with Public Storage? They have millions of dollars to spend online. Well, now that this shift is happening, you can absolutely compete with them. And you may not take over their place as #1, but you can at least be on the first pages of Google and be dominating some of your local competitors that aren't paying attention to this. So again, mobile, social, and local, it's a great combination. You're going to get leads and rentals from all of it. Just the other day, we ran a campaign for one of our clients through Twitter. They generated 11 rentals in 2 days through a Twitter campaign that we put together for them. So this stuff absolutely works. It's going to become bigger than ever. It's going to be your future. There's a great book out there called The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk. I really recommend you go out and purchase that. It talks a lot about this and gives you a lot of detail. But that's really it for today. Again, this is a high-level overview. Again, if I would have gone into all of the detail, it would have been a 6-hour webinar, and we only got an hour. So keep an eye out for the invitation to the extended session. Again, it's completely free of charge. But what I want to do is just give you an introduction today and then move you into the extended session where we're going to go into a lot more detail about all of this and give you specific action steps to take. So you can pretty much color by numbers to get this done. So keep an eye out for that. It'll probably be in a month or so just so people can move their schedules around and be there so that they can get all the content. But now I open it up to questions.
Great. If you have questions, now would be the time to excuse me, put them in and submit them for us. Derek, the first question is, I'm beginning to work with a professional social networking company on training and using social media, even to the extent of being certified to train others. Is this a waste of my time or money?
Well, it depends. I sort of have a follow-up question. It sort of sounds like they are working with somebody who's training them to become certified. Is that the way you took that, Poppy?
I believe so. It sounds like someone who's getting them started, and they will be certified through the process.
Okay. Well, if the question is what I think it is, it doesn't sound like a waste of time to me. If the more you become educated on social media, the better. So, I mean, just like anything else, what matters is what you do with it. So if you become certified at social media or social networking and you don't actually apply any of what you know to your business, then of course it's going to be a waste of your money. But if you become really proficient, really good at social media, and you limit yourself to spending that 30 minutes a day maximum on it, and you do it with the right goals in mind, then I can see it being a huge benefit to your facility. And then whether or not you're certified or not, I don't know that necessarily matters unless you want to start a career in coaching people on how to do this. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong by really educating yourself on how all this works, because it's becoming more and more important, and it will only get more important as time goes on.
All right. Derek, you did mention a book previously, and I've had a couple of requests for you to repeat the name of the book.
Yeah, the name of the book is called The Thank You Economy, and it's by Gary Vaynerchuk. That last name is spelled V-A-Y-N-E-R-C-H-U-C-K. If you just go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whoever you use to buy books and just type in The Thank You Economy and look for a guy named Gary with a funny last name, that'll be your book. But he has built a huge business strictly on social media, and he's become well known all around the world for doing so. And he's even more bold than I am in terms of his predictions about those that don't get involved in this mobile, social, and local shift that's happening. And he'll flat out tell you will be out of business. So I don't know that I'll be that harsh, especially because you're still going to get walk-in traffic and so forth in a self-storage business. But it's definitely going to hurt the amount of new leads you get if you don't adopt this and get going quickly.
All right. Next question is: I live in Mexico. Do you know someone that can help us with social media here? I think is the essence of the question.
Well, the good thing is that social media in Mexico is, besides the language difference, it's pretty much the same as social media here in the United States. So there's just the language barrier is all. So I would start contacting social media companies and just asking them if they speak Spanish or are able to do it in Spanish and go from there. But the rules are the same. I mean, Google's going to be indexing social media there just as they do here in the U.S. as far as I can understand.
All right, great. Next question, what does the organic side of things mean?
The organic search engine optimization is something I didn't spend a lot of time on, so that's a good question. If you do a search on Google for anything, but let's take self-storage, for example, you've got your search page can basically be divided into 3 different areas. Number 1 is the local map search results, which is the map with the push pins. The second is pay-per-click or sponsored links, which is usually on the top and on the right-hand side of the page. And then below the map is what's called organic. Organic search results are search results that Google or the search engine decides, when to put them there and how to put them there. And you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay to be there, and you don't have to pay every time someone clicks on that. It's just a matter of being, doing things and following their algorithm to be relevant enough. So ideally, you want to be in all 3 places. You want to have a great presence on the map. You want to have a great presence on the pay-per-click side of things. You want to have a great presence organically so that the chances of someone clicking on your website goes up. It goes up every time you get a ranking there. But any good search engine marketing company should be able to help you get there. It's doesn't happen overnight, but it can certainly happen for you.
All right, next comment question. Thank you, Derek. I'm already interested in your extended session. I am so lost about social media. How do I find a competent person to help me get started?
Well, there's lots of great people in this industry. Of course, I can give myself a shameless plug. Storage Marketing Solutions helps you do that. I know there's other companies out there that will help you do that as well. But I definitely look within the self-storage industry. There are unique intricacies in to self-storage that you want to make sure are covered. But having somebody who gets the whole picture, mobile, social, and local, and understands where we're headed. If you talk to someone who just talks about pay-per-click and Google Maps and organic search engine optimization, and they don't bring mobile marketing, mobile phone marketing, and social marketing into the discussion, they're probably not up to speed or probably don't have systems in place to help you do that. But there's lots of great resources. Go to trade shows in our industry. If you don't use us, go to trade shows, read trade magazines like Mini Stores Messenger. You'll find great articles and advertisements in there for people who can help you.
I'll also mention that, I think Derek mentioned this earlier, if you go back to our archived webinars on our website, you'll see that there was a webinar that Derek did with Rebecca, who was our social media manager at the time before we had Keith here. And that was a great webinar with kind of the basics about social media. And I think at the time I remember, saying to both Rebecca and Derek that there just weren't a lot of people in self-storage that were doing this, but we saw that this was the way to go. And I'm just amazed every morning when I see all of the posts on Facebook, and I don't check Twitter, I'll admit, but from self-storage facilities. I mean, it's just great to see that it has become so popular. So if you have any questions, Derek would definitely be one of the best people to ask. So I'll give him a shameless plug there as well. Next question. I don't understand how Twitter is useful for this business, being the self-storage business.
That's a great question. The point of Twitter is twofold now. It used to be just a single fold. Get followers in your local market. If you know how Twitter works by either by following people who you like and having people follow you who want to hear what you have to say. So, just as little as a year or two ago, the name of the game with Twitter was to get as many local followers, and I use the word local heavily. You want people local in your area following you on Twitter, so that when you decide to offer a promotion like, first month free on 10x10s, for example, those local people are getting that promotion and come in and rent. I mentioned that we recently ran a campaign for a client where we got 11 rentals off of Twitter within 2 days by having a little contest on Twitter, and it was absolutely huge. 11 rentals in 2 days, and it was completely free for them other than the time that they spent. But I can tell you that they spent less than 15 minutes a day doing it. Now, so there's that facet. You want to get, if you can get followers following you on Twitter and they live in your local area, then you have an audience of potential customers in your target market to give promotions to. Now, in addition to that, Google is beginning to index and show Twitter feeds or tweets as search results. So you may search for something, and one of the things you might click on is a tweet. So it'll take you to that tweet on Twitter, and it will then take you to the website of that person. So say, for example, you're talking a lot about self-storage because you're in the self-storage business, and you're talking a lot about the city that you're in as well. Well, there's a good chance, depending on how many times that gets retweeted, how many times it gets mentioned, and so forth, there's a good chance that that tweet or one of your tweets could show up on the first page of Google as a search result, and people could click on that and be taken to not only your Twitter feed to learn more about you, but also to your website to pick up the phone and make a rental. So now that search engines, and that's really the main point that I wanted to make today about social media, is that the search engines are using social content to help determine what search results show up. So again, with the partnership between Facebook and Bing, and your ability to do a Bing search from within Facebook and only get shown results that your friends like, because again, people trust recommendations from friends, so they know if your friends like something in Facebook that you're going to want to know about it. But on the Google side of things, they've started what's called Google +1, which is sort of a way to compete with that, where you can vote whether or not you like that business. But social content is being indexed and pulled in the search results, so that the more you're out there, the easier it's going to be for you to show up on the first page of Google on the organic side of things, which is the free side of search engine marketing. So Twitter may sound like it's not all about hey, I'm going to eat at Burger King and get a Whopper, or hey, I just changed my baby's diaper. A lot of people think that's what Twitter is, where people put pointless updates, but it has a huge practical use in the business world. And in that book, The Thank You Economy, there's a ton of case studies that will show you that. But specific for self-storage, that's really the main two reasons why I'd recommend you be on Twitter.
Okay, excuse me, one more question. How do you recommend splitting up a PPC budget between Google, Yahoo, and Bing?
That is a great question, and my answer is very simple. It's based on your return on investment. I still think a majority of your budget should go to Google, because Google is still better than anybody at geo-targeting, which in the self-storage business is everything. Because our customers in the self-storage business come from right in our own neighborhoods, we don't want people 20 or 30 miles away seeing our ad. So because Google is so good at that, you're going to find that a majority of your rentals and a majority of your activity comes from Google. However, again, that might change, and that is shifting. So I would pay attention to what's working and what's not. We have a very simple philosophy here at Storage Marketing Solutions, and that is with our return on investment console, we're able to tell our clients exactly how their marketing dollars are performing and how they're not performing, on the contrary, so that they can move their budget. So, we separate out Google pay-per-click, Yahoo pay-per-click, Bing pay-per-click, et cetera, so that we can know what your cost per lead, what your cost per customer, and what your return on investment is, and then shift budgets accordingly. If you're getting twice the return on investment from Google and you can still buy more impressions, then you should certainly dump a lot more money into that campaign than Bing and Yahoo. But I would say almost without doubt, Google is going to be where a majority of your budget should go as of today. I personally hope that changes, because Google has gained a little bit of, not a little bit, but a lot of arrogance and a lot of attitude over the past few years. So they need someone to really come in and challenge them. And hopefully, with this being an Facebook thing, that this being a Facebook thing, you'll actually be spending a good amount of money on Facebook pay-per-click and a good amount of money on Google pay-per-click as well. But to answer your question directly, it just depends on the return on investment. Put your money where it's working the best for you, just like you would a stock or a mutual fund or any other investment.
All right, here's another interesting question, Derek. How do the Yellow Pages fit into this new world?
That's a great question. The Yellow Pages, interestingly enough, there's been, over the past few years, there's been a common theme in the self-storage industry that the Yellow Pages are dead. And the Yellow Pages are not dead by any means. Obviously, they're still around. But their effectiveness, I guess the appropriate saying should be the effectiveness of my Yellow Page advertising is declining. And in some markets, it's not worth being in the Yellow Pages anymore. But since that phenomenon has happened, we've noticed that some of our clients have actually seen their return on investment from Yellow Pages go up. Because what happens is, or what's happened is that most of their competitors have pulled out of the Yellow Pages. So if you're in a market where a lot of your competitors have pulled out of the Yellow Pages, and for you to be number 1 or number 2 in the directory without spending a fortune to do so, you may find that your return on investment from Yellow Pages is going up because a lot of companies aren't tracking this properly. They're just getting out, and they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, per se. So Yellow Pages don't really fit into this mobile, social, and local combination that I'm talking about. But one of the side effects of everyone going online and going on their cell phones and going on social media, et cetera, is that a lot of businesses are saying, well, forget about the Yellow Pages. No one even reads those anymore. Well, that statement is not true. We can prove that. I can prove that to you over 100 times with clients that are getting more than enough rentals from the Yellow Pages to get a fantastic return on investment. And some of our clients are actually seeing their return on investment go up because their competitors are getting out, and they're one of the only ones left in the Yellow Pages. So those consumers that still use the Yellow Pages, don't ask me who they are or where they are, because I don't even know where my Yellow Page directory is, and I don't know of anyone who admits to using the Yellow Pages, but they're still out there. Yellow Pages is something that is going to be very interesting to watch over the next little while. I'm not saying get back in the Yellow Pages and spend all your money. I'm not saying get out of the Yellow Pages. I'm just saying that you should pay very close attention to what your return on investment is in your Yellow Pages ad, because it very well could be going up instead of down due to your competitors just getting completely out.
Wonderful. Derek, can you just tell us a little more about the extended session that you're doing and how people will hear about that or how they can sign up for it?
Sure. As I mentioned, we were only able to touch the tip of the iceberg today just because this is such a broad topic. When I prepared for this, I had over 6 hours of content for you that I had to slice down into just this tip of the iceberg. So we're going to be doing an extended session. It is absolutely free of charge for those of you that were on this webinar today. So watch for an email in the next day or two from us that basically you'll see a link just like you clicked on to register for this webinar. It'll be put on through GoToWebinar, and we're going to go. It'll be about 2 hours long, we're thinking at this point. But we're going to go into the nitty-gritty of, okay, let's talk about mobile marketing. What specifically do you need to do today to get involved in that game? What to mention to your web developer to get your website mobile compatible? What web platforms like Yelp and Foursquare, et cetera, do you need to go and list your business on, so when people search for you in your area, they're finding you? What specifically you need to do on social media? What pages you need to set up? How you need to set them up? How frequently you need to update them? Who should be updating them? How often they should be updating them? Local search marketing, how to get user reviews, how to get the picture set up properly, how to claim your listings across the web so that all of your data is consistent and you're getting the maximum amount of leads. So we're going to go into all of that detail that we just didn't have time for today. So just watch your email. Watch for an email from me or Storage Marketing Solutions, and the information will be contained in that. We're going to put it about a month out from today so that everyone has a chance to adjust their schedule so they can be on it, because I know that based on the emails we're getting already from this webinar, there's a ton of interest. So just be sure to watch out for that, and we'll get you on. It's, again, completely free of charge.
And Derek, will that be archived for those who miss it?
Yeah, we will record it and be sending out a link as well. So if you do miss it, just be sure to register. Even if you can't make it, just be sure to register, because those who register will get the link to the recording after it's over.
Okay, wonderful. And Derek, if someone wants to get in touch with you for some additional questions, what's the best way to do that?
You can call us toll-free at 1-800-941-4805 and go ahead and punch option number 1 on your phone. Or you can send an email to info@storagemarketingsolutions.com.
All right, great. And if you missed that and you need it, you can certainly feel free to give us a call here at Minico or shoot me an email, and we'll be happy to pass it on to Derek and give you his information as well. That concludes our webinar for today, and we'd like to thank everyone for attending. We've hoped that we've provided some useful information to assist you in your social media endeavors. You will be receiving an email with a link to this archived presentation, so make sure you watch your inbox for that email. And as I mentioned previously, check our archived webinars at ministoragemessenger.com. We do have several on social media that Derek has done, and you might find those quite interesting as well. Derek, thank you very much, and thank you everyone for attending. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody.